Finding Neutral. I'm Aaron.
I'm Travis.
And I'm Nick.
Today, we have Peyton, Ollie, and Charlie, as well as Jessica joining us, who's reading a book off camera.
She just rolled her eyes.
In today's podcast episode 47,
26,
34.
42.
Okay.
And specifically, since we don't like to date these, today is September 7th, 2025.
But it won't be releasing on September 7th, 2025.
Correct.
So that won't be the day that it is when people watch it.
But just so you know what today is.
But it'll be like 13 people watching it, so.
Shout out to our one viewer, Bocce.
Yeah. Hey, Bocce. So, on today's episode, what we want to talk about is basically the way your taste changes as you get older in motorcycling, as far as what kind of bikes you like and what kind of bikes you own.
And what kind of bikes you can physically still use.
I say we start off with Travis.
Well, I currently ride a Street Triple and a Tiger.
I couldn't tell based off of your t-shirt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, something to do with that. I lost my hat.
That's what
We heard that.
I know. I told Aaron, I said, apparently he lost his hat.
I did. I can't find it.
You can't find it.
I swear I set it on the top of my truck in the little pocket up above the radio when I was leaving a side job the other week. And I don't know. It just disappeared.
She gone.
It's gone.
It's with the Lord now.
It's either at the side job in the warehouse where I was working or it's in the ether, I guess.
And I mean, it was getting a little rough
It was.
around the edges.
But
She
it
was-
was,
She was seeing some better days, but
you know how a hat is when it's all broken. And
yeah,
it's
you
just-
finally
oh.
get it to like fit right and you get the bill crested properly and it's like ready to go.
It's like your
I
favorite
know.
pair of underwears.
You just can't let them go.
Just
You
because it's
keep
got a
wearing
hole in
them.
it doesn't mean they're bad, Jessica.
If the elastic still holds, it's good. Those are just speed holes.
Something makes me think the elastic did not hold anymore.
Yeah. What kind of bike did you start out with?
I started out on a weird bike. I had a Suzuki. It was a Bandit. What was the designation? A GSF?
GSXR.
I can't remember what the Bandits were called.
They had a designation, but it's a Bandit is what it was. So it was a Bandit 600 chassis. Somebody had put a Katana 750 motor in it.
Which
Spicy.
I guess is an upgrade.
I guess. I don't know.
So that was a
couldn't tell you. I knew the
four-cylinder?
difference. Yes, inline four cylinder.
Air cooled.
Air cooled. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Oil cooled.
They call them
but
oil cooled.
Yeah.
I whatever that is in the background, the mic sounds
Are
like it's
those-
picking it up.
Are those
I hear it.
goats?
Yeah.
I think that's the goats back there.
The goats back there having at it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
then, now that you live on a farm.
Yeah. So I started on that. Nice, good, clean example of a bike, but just an old bike. It was a '94. So it was out of its heyday for sure, but very weird, rare bike over here. Not a very popular bike. It's more of a
I mean, Bandit does have
A
a
European
big.
bike.
Yeah, it has a big following over in Europe.
it's a naked bike.
And I would love to get my hands on a Bandit 400.
Oh yeah.
Bandit 400s were super cool,
Mhm.
and then Bandit 1200s were popular here in the United States, and they are still really good bikes.
Yep.
If memory serves, didn't you like trade a car or something for that Bandit?
I did. I had a BMW 325.
So you downgraded from 4 wheels to 2.
Yep. Well, I had purchased my RX-8, and so I had the BMW just
Was this
sitting
the
in the
maroon
driveway.
convertible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And so I needed to make another dumb purchase, so I traded it for a motorcycle.
Approximately what age?
The car?
No,
Or
you.
the, oh,
He was about 12.
yeah, about 12 and a half. What was I? I was out of high school. I was probably 20. Yeah, 20, 18, 19, 20. I was more than 18. I was probably 20. 20 or 21.
What a child.
Maybe even slightly later than that. Because I was still living at my parents'. So I wasn't 21,
But
somewhere around there. But yeah,
it being your first bike, had you ever
long
like
ago.
had you ever like considered anything bike wise, like any specific like I want to ride that kind of bike or anything?
I didn't really have much preference on bikes, to be honest. I didn't know a whole lot about them, but I just knew I didn't want a cruiser. I wanted some type of European style sport kind of oriented bike. I wasn't per se into the cruiser thing, and my buddy, who actually was the one that got me started on the bikes, he did ride a cruiser. He had a Harley Iron something,
The Harley Iron
800?
Fist.
the 800,
883.
883 Iron, that's what it was.
Yep.
He had that. But I got that, and we just cruised around and just drove back and forth to our houses and to places and stuff. We didn't really know what to do
Yeah.
with motorcycles, I guess, other than just drive around. I hadn't discovered sporty riding or anything like that, so I started on that, and then I met you at work when you started, and I had been riding for a little while at that point, a couple years, but never really like any kind of aggressive riding or anything like that. But you introduced me to riding down in Kentucky, doing, sporty riding.
I just can't get over like whatever fucking lamb orgy is going on behind us.
I don't understand why my neighbors have to do this on a Sunday night at like 8 o'clock at night. They've had all day to do this.
Yeah,
It's so loud.
Why Sunday at 8 o'clock at night do you need to do this?
they're going after it over there.
I don't know what's going on over there, but I've never witnessed anything like this in my life.
This is how it goes down at my house.
And like, you don't live in the middle of nowhere.
I know it.
This is like a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, I know. It's just living life with the neighbors. All right, so you got your Bandit, you were riding around, and had you ever like given much thought in motorcycling besides literally just like, oh hey, it's a motorcycle, I can ride that.
Well, I really couldn't ride it, but I was trying. I had to lower it because I was too short for it, all that kind of stuff, But I wasn't really into like Bike Talk really wasn't a thing or anything at that time. The internet was barely a thing.
You weren't a bike talk boy.
Oh no, it was still
So-
Facebook era.
Yeah, I was. I'm not that old.
Well, because that
But-
would have been approximately what date?
2015 ish.
It was
It would have been like 2012 or 13.
It was, yeah, probably
I met you in
10,
2016.
12, 10, 12, 14. I want to say probably around 12 is my guess.
Well then, from there, how did your taste evolve over the years?
Well, so it was, about the sport riding and stuff back then, and then it wasn't, travel was never really a thing on the radar, and doing anything other than riding hard and fast and aggressive was kind of the start. That's what everybody was chasing. But I'd switched bikes a couple times, had gotten a sport bike, and, we went down to the mountains and stuff, and that was kind of at the cusp of the start of the ADV segment, so you had bought a sort of an ADV kind of bike, the Versus, and so I traded my bike in to get the Tiger and tried the Tiger out. So kind of switched a little bit, switched gears into the kind of not cruiser, but a little more relaxed pace, a little more travel kind of pace, where you can just kind of ride easy, ride smooth, ride for longer distances. We call them dad bikes. So, I kind of started the dad bike thing before I was
A dad.
a dad, yeah. Probably, when did I buy that bike? Was I 30 when I got that bike? I don't think I was
It
30.
had to be
Which, the Street Triple?
no,
No,
it
the
had to be like
Tiger.
it had to be like 18 or 19 when you got that thing.
It was definitely longer.
Yeah, I bought it in 19. Yeah, so I bought it in 2019, so yeah, I was 28 when I bought that.
So then you got your Tiger because your taste you shifted away from like being so sport focused, and you wanted to do something a little bit more all around ish.
Mhm.
And then where have things kind of gone from then to where you are current?
So I still have the bike, still do that kind of stuff occasionally. I did get back into sport riding, bought a second bike as a focused, aggressive sport riding bike. Did some track days and things like that with that bike, and kind of rediscovered the sport riding, I guess. Kind of rediscovered the desire, the love for that kind of riding. And now that I have the capability to do either, I can have my cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Well, then, moving on to Nicholas, you're the one with who's newest
I'm a rebel.
newest to ride. You're not a rebel.
I am. I'm a wild child.
I don't know if I would define you as that, or label you as that.
Well, you can think about what you would label me, and then I'll explain.
So when you were first deciding, motorcycling was going to be the next adventure, why or what was going through your mind before you chose your bike?
Well, when I think about it, I feel like there kind of was like a 180-degree pivot in the pre-buy process. Because I want to say when I thought, oh yeah, like a motorcycle could be a very effective form of transportation. That was kind of my first thought behind, oh, like this could be practical. Because, I work from home, so I really have no type of commute or anything like that. So really, and of course I live by myself, so it's just me going wherever I need to go. So I thought, well, I saw this little bike at the gym, and I thought, well, like I could totally get like a motorcycle and just like ride it down to the gym, and that would be really efficient and convenient. And that one that I saw, I want to say it was a Husqvarna, when they had the 701 Svartpilen. It was one of those. And I thought, oh, like that looks like a neat bike. So went online and I did some looking. And I think that at that point they only sold the 401. So I consulted with one of my, the only person that I knew at the time that had motorcycles. And he was like, oh, well, if you want to like do something that can like get on the highway, like you're going to want something more than that. So then he proposed the big four of Super Sport 600s. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was how I pivoted. And then I bought a Kawasaki ZX6R.
And after you purchased the ZX6R, how did your perspective on motorcycling change once you became a rider?
Well, I don't know. I feel like in general, as far as I'm concerned, at where I am in life, I don't find super sports to be all that uncomfortable like other people do. But I feel like I'm a significant amount older than the average person that rides one and doesn't have any problems with that. So at some point, I'm sure I'll be like, oh, this isn't comfortable. But whenever I get on a bike that's more upright, like the 890R, it just feels weird to me.
Yeah, it will. Coming
And I
from a
just don't,
super
I don't
sport.
think that I like that seating position. Whereas, like the more aggressive position, that is where I feel most comfortable.
It's all in what you're used to as well.
Yeah,
Um,
and like it's what I'm used to, and it really doesn't bother me. So I just feel like, well, I'll stick with that. Once there's a point when it's not comfortable or I don't like it anymore, then yeah, like sure, I'll consider something different, but I just haven't really gotten to that point yet.
when when you first started riding, what 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 idea did you have in your head what riding would be like?
Like in what regard?
Like, how did you think you were going to use the motorcycle? What did you think, or yeah, how would you use the motorcycle, and how did you end up using the motorcycle for the first little while of riding?
Yeah, that's a great one. Honestly, when I got it, I don't really know if the concept of spirited sport riding was even like in my radar. Cuz I got this bike and then it was like, well, I need to figure out how to use the thing. So that just involves okay, like the first day we'll ride around the neighborhood and make sure that like, we're not going to kill anybody. Then maybe after a few days, okay, like let's get up to like 50. Let's go like outside of our city. Then it's like, oh, let's go onto the highway. And then after I kind of did like the around town type stuff, which I think that's really what I thought I would be using a motorcycle for, I want to say I went down into Kentucky with a different group of people and did some spirited riding. And I thought, oh, like, this is a lot more spirited than what I thought I would be able to do in this general geographic area. I had no idea any of this existed. And then I really enjoyed that. So then I started doing that by myself, like Saturday morning. Go out, go ride. And I would say that's kind of how I really built my skill set to a certain point before I met people like you two that actually do the same thing. And then we started doing that together.
So then you gravitated towards the sport riding once you figured that out, and
Yeah, and I have the tool for the activity.
and then has your as you've continued to do that and you've continued to progress in your skill level, what happened to your bike taste? Has it changed any?
Well, I guess an interesting concept that I feel like could be good to discuss is, so I made the step from the 600 to the 1000, which I feel like everybody who's into riding, they're like, oh yeah, like I want a 1000, because they think that it's some like super bike. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. And to be honest with you, I like my 600 better because it's lighter. It just tips in so much better. And then even just riding around town, it's like you can hop into the power band and not really be breaking the law. And to me, that's really fun. When you can get into like 8,000 RPM and going like 35 miles per hour, A+. Get a little bit of a zip on your way to Aldi, and that just kind of tingles the inside of your soul. With the 1000, no, you can't really do that. and it's fatiguing. Sure, like if you want to like be real lazy, you can just leave that puppy in 6th gear, but if I could have gotten that bike in a 600, I would have.
Now, you started out on the 600. And for clarification, that was the Ninja ZX6R.
When it was a 600 and not a
And
636.
it's like a 2009,
10.
2010. And then you moved on to the BMW S1000RR. Is that a 23?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 23. And
Because I crashed the ZX6R on the track and I needed something while I put the other one back together.
you didn't need it. Like we got
Yes, I
we got
needed
it
it.
back together pretty quick.
It was winter.
No, it was at least 2 or 3 months.
You had that bike picked out on the way
Oh
home.
yeah, we were on the way home from the
When
track.
we were on the way home and I was like,
He's making phone calls to the dealership. Like, you got that thing? I'm
No,
coming to pick it
I
up.
wasn't to that point. The kicker was Mr. Salesman over there was like, BMW's running 0% promotional finance. That was the part that was like, oh, well, like, if that's the case, then I wouldn't be leaving any money on the table. So, and then everybody that I asked about something, this is a stupid idea. Between you guys, some of the other people that I know, nobody said it was a stupid idea, and everybody was like, yeah, like, you should do that.
Well, what answer do you think you're going to get if you ask drug addicts if you should take more drugs?
Well, but I don't necessarily consider all of the people that I asked to have been drug addicts. It's just like how my old people friends, I asked them, I said, should I really buy a 1997 Toyota Century? And they're like, yes, you should. They're not
We're all just enablers.
JDM aficionados. But
Well, so then you moved on to your 23 BMW S1000RR.
and then, but the day before I got, well, the day
And I should-
after I got that, I got a scooter.
And I shouldn't say I shouldn't say you moved on because you still have the ZX6R.
Yeah, they cohabitate.
Yep. And now you're bringing in a third bike here. What's the third bike?
The 2013 Kimco People 300 GTI.
So this is a scooter. And
Is it a scooter or is it more than a scooter?
what made you desire that bike? Going from your Mr. Super Sport with your double Super Sports, and then
Oh.
you just throw a scooter in the
Oh,
mix.
that was fully the result of peer pressure on behalf of you, and John.
Yeah, and
And it just so happened that I had to buy a People specifically. And it just so happened that the People 300 GTI, the super scooter, showed up on Facebook Marketplace. And I negotiated the thrifty value of $1,400 for this thing. And I mean, it goes 92. It's the ultimate scooter.
How's the ultimate scooter running these days?
it still
How's he-
runs.
It
runs.
It does run. It just spews oil everywhere, which it's fully due to some activities that we did last
Yeah,
year.
we've
Yeah.
done some things on scooters that you're not supposed to do with scooters.
We did a pretty
So we can't
decent amount of off-roading.
we can't blame the scooter completely. It is
Well,
our
if the
fault.
scooter was complete, I would say that if I would have known that the previous owner tore off the airbox and put on one of those cone filters. And if I would have known that there was also some sort of a breather that went out and it was just going to the open air, I would have plugged that because I'm assuming that's where it sucked in all this dirt and it just has blow by to hear the moon and back.
Now, so you've got your garage. It has your ZX6R, your S1000, your People 300, and
GTI.
And do you see anything else in the future? Do you see anything happening next? Are you interested in any other sort of riding?
I want a cart track toy
Okay. And
because I'm tired of things that require license plates and registration.
what, like, define for those who wouldn't know in the audience what a kart track toy is. Like, what kind of riding are you talking about, and then what kind of bike are you going to
Well,
consider to fulfill that riding?
so cart track toy would to me be like in the supermoto category.
And
It could be various for something that would be good for kart track. It could be anything like an XR100, like a mini moto. If you're being bougie, you could get like an Ovale, or you could do like you could probably do like a CRF 250 as a kart track thing if you convert it, or like the 450s.
Yeah.
I have toyed with like the KTM 690, but I feel like if I had one of those, then I want to register it to be on the road, and that would defeat the purpose.
It might be kind of a big bike.
well,
for
he's
the
he's
track.
ridden one on the kart
Yeah.
track, and it does pretty dang
I mean,
well.
I've ridden my ZX6R on the
I was-
kart track.
I was trying to get him to buy. We got a Gas 700 Supermoto that just came in. It's a 2023, and it has 96 miles on the clock. It's like brand new, and I could sell it to him for pretty reasonably. But I also understand where he's coming from, in not wanting something that is street legal or something that he won't be tempted to register, and it'll just be literally just a track toy, and that's it. So I can understand where he's coming from in that regard as well.
And also, I feel like if we compare that to a 450 of some sort, I feel like the 450 is the better tool for
It
the
by
activity.
far for that. So for folks who don't know, when we're referring to kart track, we're literally talking about a go-kart track, one that's paved, and one that we're allowed to run motorcycles on. We have one locally here in Ohio, and actually in southwestern Ohio, that we go to from time to time. It's $20 to go up there and practice for the day, so it's really cheap. It has the same concept as doing a track day, except it's so backwoods,
Relaxed.
and there's no lifeguard on duty. It's just us giving each other space and going out there and ripping. The only rule at that track is bikes are not allowed on the track at the same time as go-karts. And that's pretty much the only rule you have to follow. Everything else is just kind of do whatever the heck you want to do.
Don't be a jerk.
And don't be a jerk. And it's pretty much it. But there is some some etiquette that is good to follow, and that I would say most people that go there respect. So
Yeah.
we all learn the etiquette. After that, it's pretty relaxed rules. So I have a kart track bike myself and like to go up there often. You can really kind of hone your skills in and not spend much money like you do at a real track day. A real track day, it's
You're
easy.
talking $500.
It's easy to spend $1,000
Yeah,
for a
well.
weekend, where at the
Yeah.
kart track you can spend $20 for the weekend.
Yep.
So it's pretty slick.
So I could see myself either getting like a pre-made, like a KTM SMR, or doing like the 450 dirt bike conversion type thing. So we'll see. I feel like it's the end of the season, so there could be some deals to be had.
Yep, and end of the season
So-
deals, and I've converted them, and I've bought SMR out of the box, and I'll say buying the SMR is way easier. It's just
Oh,
way
yeah, it's
way
just
easier.
right out of the
You just buy it and then go
box,
ride
yeah.
it. It needs nothing. It already has all the parts on it. The only thing I had to do to mine was that I had to do was I swapped brake pads on the front because I wanted more aggressive brake pad on the front. Other than that, I didn't need to do anything else. I set the suspension for my weight, and then that's literally it. I put the Akrapovic titanium exhaust on it just because I wanted it, and I'm bougie like that. So that's what I did. But it didn't need it by far. So yeah, that's a great way. But I'll tell you, I do miss my converted bike, in that I like Suzuki's. I just like the way they ride.
You like the Kickstarter?
I don't mind that on the kart track. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't bother me.
It does. It does.
either.
It's not a hindrance on the kart track. Not like it is in the woods. But so I like my Suzuki because it was a Suzuki. The way they turn is just excellent. But I also really liked that it was a 4-speed. Mine was a 4-speed, and I loved the 4. Like I never had to shift gears. It was awesome. I could just leave it in one gear. It was awesome. The other thing I liked about my Suzuki was the pre-made, the SMR, comes with the stuff it comes with. The Suzuki, I got to pick what stuff I wanted. And, through trial and error, I ended up with the Behringer front brake. Big top race kit from Behringer, 6-pot caliper, big nasty 12 mil Behringer Master, and a cast iron rotor. And Jesus, that was the best set of brakes I've ever had on any motorcycle, period. That thing was incredible on the brakes. I loved it. It was better than my current KTM SMR, but my KTM SMR is better just everywhere else around. Like fueling's much better. The chassis is probably better. It's lighter. But I do like the way that old RMZ made power. It made power down low, where the KTM, you have to rev it to the moon. So that took a little getting used to.
Well, I'm weirded out, like, when I've ridden that one, how, like, there's no rev gauge, so I'm like, well, how far do I go?
Keep going, man. I promise. KTM revs. It revs so high. But where the RMZ, you didn't need to rev. It just made power right off the bottom. It was great for driving out of corners. And it was also great for doing fun stuff like wheelies all down the front straight and stuff like that. Where the KTM's not as I'm not as good at wheeling at KTM as I was at Suzuki. But yeah, so I've built them and I've bought them, and there's merits to either one of them. It could go either way, but ultimately, like if you go to any mini moto racing, any kind of kart track racing, everybody's either got the FS 450 from Husqvarna or the KTM 450 SMR, because it's just so much more cost effective to just buy it out of the box. Usually you end up, if you convert one, by the end of it, you end up spending way more. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and you fool with the thing for
And you're always
track days.
you're always tinkering on it.
Yep.
Where the SMR, you don't tinker on nothing. You just buy it and ride it. And it's just how it is. And you just have to do maintenance every now and again. So it's very user friendly, the already built ones. And the reason that I don't like the DRZ 400 is kind of the same reason I don't like the KTM 690 for a kart track bike. It's just a pig. It's heavy. It's slower. Because it's heavier, the brakes don't work as effectively, and on the edge of the tire, it's a lot more bike. Like to quantify things, my SMR weighed like 233 pounds on my scales with fuel in the tank, where an SMC would probably weigh like 340. It'd be 100 pounds heavier, essentially.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, practically speaking, I could lift and pick up an SMR and put it in the trunk of my car to take it to the kart track.
Yeah.
Whereas with a 690, I couldn't do that.
No, it's a lot girthier of a motorcycle, that's for sure.
No.
It won't crash as well either.
No, the
If you happen
690s
to
won't.
put it down. It's definitely not gonna.
I just like the phrase, it won't
Go
crash
as
as well.
When you start dealing with track bike stuff, that's something you think about, how well it crashes.
Dirt bikes crash really well.
Yeah, they do. They crash really awesome. Where like sport bikes, you go to
Crash terribly.
They crash terribly.
From
and
experience.
They cost a fortune when you crash them. A dirt bike is like at worst
$3.
You snap a lever, and that's like $9 to replace it. And cool, you keep on riding. Usually you don't even do anything, but okay, you got some scratches, or you rip the end of the grip off, or it's just something silly like that. And oh well, you just keep riding it. But an SMC, they are not really built on a dirt bike chassis. They kind of have their, I don't know what to call it, chassis, like almost sport bike, but almost adventure bike-ish chassis. And they have a lot more exposed parts that you have to worry about contacting the ground when you crash. So I don't think they would crash nearly as well as a proper motocross chassis.
Well,
they're kind of made for it.
old man,
Yep.
I think it's your turn.
I got a storied past.
I'm going to limit you to 10 minutes on this.
Let's do it. So when I first got into riding, I had wanted to be in riding for a long time, since I was a kid and into my teenage years and everything. I really, really wanted a motorcycle, and
So did you have a dream motorcycle as a child?
no, not a particular motorcycle. I never had a particular motorcycle that I was like, that's the one.
Okay.
But when I was 18 years old, I was in a car club. That's back when car clubs were big. It was like Fast and Furious days. Literally. Like,
With a 17-speed manual?
yeah, like in the year 2000, I was 16 years old, and that's when the movie Fast and Furious came out. So yeah, I was big time into that whole thing. But we had met these two dudes that they both rode R1s. And this was in like the year 01, maybe 02.
Big money.
So they rode these R1s, and they were the early R1s, like 98s, 99s, 2000s, somewhere in there. I remember one of them's R1 was blue, and the other one's was red. And I thought they were like the coolest dudes on the planet. Like these dudes were just, and I mean, they were full on 2000, frosted tips, spiky haired, visor on backwards. Like they were those bros, man. And no helmet, no nothing. And they're just out ripping wheelies on these R1s. But I thought they were like the coolest dudes on the planet. And so that kind of made me like want a Yamaha, just because these dudes were riding Yamahas. And I went down to Ships Yamaha was the name of the dealership, which turned into Cycle Specialties, which is now United Motorsports. And when I went into Ships, they were located down in Springdale, Ohio. They had an R6 on the floor. And I was like, oh, man, that's a cool bike right there. They also had a Gixxer 600 on the floor. And I was like, man. And what I remember back then was 600s were $6,000. Thousands were $8,000. That's how much the bikes cost. And it might as well have been $1 million because I couldn't afford either one of them. So inevitably, it didn't happen for me. I graduated high school, and at the time I had $1,000 in my pocket, and I walked into, there was a Honda motorcycle dealer in Montgomery, Ohio, and I walked in there with the full intentions on buying a motorcycle that day. I was going to buy a CBR 600 that day. And in 45 minutes I walked around, no one talked to me. Finally, I went up to a sales guy that was sitting in his office, and I was like, hey man, do you mind talking to me about this bike? And he goes, how old are you? And I said, 18. And he goes, do you have any credit? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, you can't buy a bike. And that was the extent of the conversation. I was like, what a dick, man. So,
They didn't have Eagle Finance back then.
yeah, apparently they didn't have special finance because, yeah, prior to 2008, nothing was ever special finance before 2008.
Wonder why.
No, that's what caused the 2008 bubble. It was all the special finance going on. So I'm surprised they didn't try to finance me, but whatever. He was a jerk. I moved to North Carolina for college. So motorcycle was out of the question there. I was too broke. Moved back from North Carolina. And when I was 21, I was house sitting at Brandon's uncle's house, whatever. And his uncle, Brandon and I were both mechanics, and we were roommates. His uncle was also a mechanic. He's like the renowned Corvette tech for actually this side of the country. Like he's like a big time Corvette tech.
Who's got a closet full of New Balances?
He's got a closet full of
New
Corvettes. He's got so many
Balances.
Corvettes at his house, it's ridiculous.
Corvettes.
But anywho, he had these little Honda, and years later I figured out they were like XL75s. Because he just, when he was a kid, he had them and he restores them and he loves them and stuff. They have metal tanks, but they're little kids' dirt bikes. And they got clutches and they got 5-speed transmissions.
I had an XR75 when I was a kid.
So I saw the thing sitting there, and he had one that was like fully restored, and I knew well enough not to grab that one, because I mean he spent some real love on that thing. But he had another one that wasn't restored yet, and I pulled it aside. And I was like, I wonder if it runs. So I started kicking on it, and I got it running because I'm a mechanic. I can figure out how to get it running. And after it got running, I was like, well, shit. let's give it a go. Let's see how this thing works. And I tried riding it, and I tried riding it in the yard, and that was successful. So then I was like, this is fun. Let's take it out into the neighborhood. So I cruised around the neighborhood roads.
Terrorize the neighborhood.
And I had a ton of fun. This thing had a speedometer on it because it was a proper XL. XLs were street legal. And it had a speedometer on it. And I remember like getting up to 40 miles an hour and it feeling like it was about 140. And I was like, this is insane. This is so much fun. So right there, I knew like I liked doing that. Well, then I got back to reality of I couldn't afford anything because I was 21 and I was blowing money like it was, every paycheck I got, I would blow it right away. And then when I was 23, I got a little kid's dirt bike. I was finally able to buy something, and I got a little kid's dirt bike. And I didn't even have a helmet. And I rode it through some trails at this guy's farm, and it was so much fun. And I was like, this is it. This is the thing I want to do. And so it just started growing from there. It was all dirt bikes until 2010 was when I got my first street bike, and that's when I got my Buell.
The Firebolt.
The Firebolt, yeah. So in 2010, I had been riding dirt like crazy. I'd been racing, like I'd actually started racing off-road, doing woods racing and stuff.
Busy on the dirt roads.
And no dirt roads. It was just pure single-track woods stuff. And I had gotten pretty adept at it. I was pretty good at it. I was riding B-class in the woods, which is like, that's getting it done. It's pretty fast. And the thing was, with dirt, you always had to make a special trip. You always had to pack the truck up, go to some place. Usually I like to camp there, to make it worth my while. And then when you get home, you still have to clean all the bikes, all your gear and stuff. It's a big ordeal.
That's why I ride street.
And I thought, I like riding so much, but this is a lot of work. And since it's a lot of work, I don't get to do it as often. I have to like pick out special weekends and stuff. Instead, I wanted to do it more often. So I was like, well, let's ride on the street. And I started doing research on street bikes. And what I landed on, I didn't just like walk into a dealership, see the Buell and say, that's the one and leave. I actually did all this research, and Buell was the brand I landed on, and I went hunting for Buells. It was just whatever it was that Buell, their mantra, it just appealed to me. I just really liked it. And I went and bought a Buell. Started riding it. And I found out real quick that the street can be very boring. It's sitting in traffic. I like what Eric Monger says about riding a super bike or a super sport bike, crotch rocket type bike. It's like riding an F1 car through a school zone. And I was like, dude, that's pretty accurate, because when you're out there on the street, you still have to stop at stoplights and get caught in traffic and, follow all the rules reasonably so. So you don't ever really get to open the bike up and enjoy it.
That's why 600 is better than 1,000.
So I was really quite disappointed for the first few days or weeks. So I started hunting the internet for people that rode that would know where to ride, that it's fun, that you can open the bike up and do those sort of things. And eventually I stumbled across the Asphalt Junkies, and I got out to ride with them for the first time in early 2011, because when I met them, it was already wintertime in 2010. So first ride that was available in 2011, I went and rode in Kentucky, and that was the curviest roads on the planet at the time. Like, I was like, oh my God.
We've made it to 2011 and you've hit your 10 minutes.
Sorry. So
we've got another 14 years.
Got another 14 years. Well, the next 14 will go quick. So I did the curvy road thing. That was cool. And in 2011 was also the first year I went to the mountains, went down Tail of the Dragon, all that stuff.
But now you got a curvy road bike and you didn't like it.
What do you mean? I love my
You
Buell.
had an S1000.
Oh no! Well, my Buell was a sport bike. That was considered a sport bike because it had a fairing and everything.
Well, but it
had
wasn't
clip-ons.
it wasn't was it ergonomically similar?
Yeah, it had
Okay,
clip-ons and everything.
Okay.
Well,
It
then
was
in
like the sport version of the blue one that he had before.
the Lightning that I had, it was the sport version of that.
I didn't know that the Lightning, the sport version of the one you had clip-ons.
Yeah, it had clip-ons. And everything.
I thought it had a little
a-
bit of a fairing.
It had just a small fairing.
It was a
on the
bikini
front.
fairing, but it had clip-ons. It didn't have the lowers because it was air-cooled motor. So in 2012, I had decided it's time for an upgrade, and I, like you, went
Yes.
from
Yes.
a 100 horsepower bike to a 200 horsepower bike. I went with the S1000 2012. I bought it brand new in 2012, and
You were trying to buy a Super Duke at the time, weren't you? But
no,
they-
Super Dukes didn't exist yet. That wasn't a thing in 2012.
That was later.
Well, wasn't that? Weren't
That
you
was
trying
later.
to go between the
That
two?
was
No,
after
that was
Big
later.
That was
Purple,
later.
right?
So I got the S1000, and it was pretty mind melting. Like, I couldn't believe a bike could be that fast, and I still to this day, like, every time I get on one of those things, I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Well, you
like,
still haven't been on mine.
they're just insane fast. And it was fun. I did track day on it and everything. It was fun, but I went to the mountains in 2014. Yeah, it was 14 when I went to the mountains with Cheese Man and all the gang, and it just killed me. I remember my knees swelled up like huge. They were like double in size. I hated it. We'd spent like 12 hours out that day, and
That's a big day.
by the end of the
for
day,
group.
yeah, we did a big Georgia ride and everything. And by the end of the day, I was like, I am done with this stupid fucking bike. And whoever wants to ride this thing, have at it. You're welcome to it. I want to ride something else. I was like, I will walk home before I ride this damn thing. I was hurting so bad. So I ended up trading bikes because no one else would trade me bikes. I ended up trading bikes with Cheese Man, who was on a VFR 800. And honestly, its ergonomics weren't that much better. God, I wish somebody with a Supermoto would have traded me. Just something that could like open my leg room up a little bit. So
Something that could open your legs.
and so, dude, we made it back, and my knees were so swollen, like I couldn't ride the next day. Nothing. I was hurting. So I got back home after that trip, sold the bike immediately. I was done. I was like, no more of these, never again. And from there, I got into my first like flat bar bike for road bikes.
And
com-
that's where you've remained.
yeah, I've remained there. And coming from a dirt bike background, it makes sense. I bought that's when I was looking for a Super Duke, because it had all the teaser videos and stuff for the
Yeah.
Super Duke, and I was like super excited about it, but it just wouldn't come here. Damn it! It was like May, and it still wasn't here. I was like, screw it, and I just went and bought a Ducati Hypermotard, and I don't regret it. That bike was awesome. I had that bike for 4 years, but then I ended up getting a Super Duke anyways. That's how I ended up with my Super Duke that I have now.
Is that the bike you've had for the longest?
Yes, I've had that since I bought it as a model year leftover in 2018. It's a 2017, but I bought it brand new in 2018. For a discount, of course. And I've owned it since day one with 0 miles on the clock. It's got 14,000 miles on it right now, and it's done umpteen track days and all kinds of stuff. And I was just telling you, I've probably put a set of tires on it every 1,000 miles, and I'm pretty certain in my log I've changed the oil every 1,000 miles on it, which is crazy. But yeah,
Do you think you've spent more money on consumables
Than the bike
price
itself?
Of the bike at
Yeah.
this point?
I mean, it would be close.
I mean, if we include accessories, then definitely.
Accessories for sure, but
Yeah, bike was 17 originally. I paid like 15 for it because it was on discount, and I probably put 10 grand worth of accessories on it, and I don't know, probably spent another 10 grand in maintenance on it, just owning it that long. But that bike has been, I bought it because it is a great all-arounder for a sport bike. It's comfortable all day. It does track days. It does weekend rides. It just does.
It goes to work.
It goes to work. It does everything well, except for long distance travel. That's something it's not really designed for. But that's when, when I had the S1000, that's when I started dabbling in wanting to go long distance. And I bought my first long distance bike. It's a K1200 LT, a 1999 model. That bike is basically a BMW
I didn't
Goldwing.
realize it was that old.
Yeah. It's the first bike ever built with reverse. That was its claim to fame. It had reverse before the Goldwing.
So they didn't call it a K1200R for reverse.
Well, R was a different platform of bike. They had a K1200R, but it was a different platform of bike.
But it didn't have reverse.
No, only the LT had reverse.
LTR.
The LT was a BMW Goldwing, and I didn't intend on getting that. It's just I didn't want to spend much more than $4,000, and that's the bike I found.
And you didn't want a Goldwing.
And well, I couldn't afford a Goldwing. They were way more expensive than that. Unless you got like an 80s bike, and screw that. They were junk. So I got my LT, rode it, and I did some long distance stuff, and I liked it, but the bike wasn't very good or exciting once you got to your destination. So I traded in, got a Versys 650, and that bike kind of lit the flame, man. Like, that thing was killer in every way possible. I loved my Versys 650. That was an excellent motorcycle. It didn't have cruise control, and that was really my only complaint. If it would have had cruise control, I just would have kept it. It
Could have used a couple more horsepowers too.
It could have, but I mean,
It was a little weak on the highway.
It was, but like, honestly, for what I was using it for, that's not the part that I didn't like.
It brought you a lot of joy.
Yeah, and I didn't need the extra horsepower. If the bike had the extra horsepower, I wouldn't have complained, but I didn't really need it. The only thing I really wanted, honestly, was cruise control, and that was it. And so I got my my 1290 Super Adventure S to replace the Versys. I bought that Super Adventure brand new, and I spent $20,000 to get cruise control, basically. But of course, the Super Adventure was better in every measurable way. It was an awesome bike. It was a very, very good motorcycle.
And I never even got to ride it.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, I thought you got to ride it.
Never.
The SMT that I got, the 890 SMT, to replace my Super Adventure, and the only reason I replaced the Super Adventure is put 35,000 miles on it, and I was just ready for something else. So 890 SMT I was curious about, kind of got that thing. It fills the same role. It's a sporty bike that I can go long distance with, and the Adventure had one other trick up its sleeve. It was an adventure bike, so I could go and do some light off-road with it. This bike is very much like not intended to be an adventure bike, but since it's tall still, I wouldn't mind taking it down a gravel road or a dirt road or something like that.
Yeah, we do the fire roads.
Yeah,
We've done the fire roads in the
just like
mountains
some
before, and
explore stuff,
Those would
you
be
know.
fine.
And but something I kind of glossed past here is scooting. I got into scooting in 2022. Is when I
You
got my
started
scooter.
a scooter gang.
I started a scooter gang
Please
officially.
be clear.
Scooting has basically replaced adventure riding for me.
Scooting has changed
Yeah.
your life.
It really has. Scooting has it's replaced adventure riding, and one of the big tenets of that is I don't have to care about the motorcycle. Like, if I drop the bike, I just laugh. It's funny, you know. And if the bike gets scratches, I don't care. It's a cheap little scooter. It's fine.
Adventure scooting.
And it honestly goes the same places my adventure bike went. And since it's so small and polite and quiet, no one cares if I'm doing hoon shit on it. So I can get away with anything on it. And then, of course, it's a scooter, so it works really well in traffic and commuting to work. I can ride it with one hand, which was great when I picked up my lunch yesterday at work. Because I picked up lunch at White Castle's, and I had to get back to work quick. And they didn't have any bottled drinks at White Castle, so I just got a fountain drink and then rode back with one hand. Because scooters, you can do that. They don't have a clutch. There's just all kinds of cool little advantages they have. So I've really enjoyed that way more. So basically, if you look at the arc of riding and, you know, the arc of my riding career, you start off on small bikes. I started off on a Yamaha PW80 at the age of 23. And then I climbed all the way up the mountain to get a BMW S1000 RR. Mine wasn't technically 200 horse. It was 193 horse, but, you know, close enough. Fast and just ridiculous. 150 mile an hour wheelies and just
Our viewer cared
crazy.
about that detail.
Yeah.
Bocce, that's for you.
And then after you've had that, you kind of regress back into a lower horsepower figure, and you end up settling somewhere near 100 horsepower. And then I've even kind of, I never really lost my passion for small bikes, but I've definitely reignited that flame for small bikes with the scooters, because the scooters, I rode my scooter to Georgia from Ohio. Like I've been all over the dang place on that, and it's only a 150.
Well, I was going to say, you said that you settled on like 100 horsepower. You mean you settled more on like 150 cc, to be clear.
And like scooting's a little different. I know it's not for everybody, but
It is for everybody.
it's accessible. But I say 100 horsepower because now, like, every bike I tend to look at seems to be around 100 horsepower. I still have my Super Duke. It still performs that role, and it's 180 horsepower or whatever. But realistically, right there around 100 is about perfect. It does everything really well. Like you say about the ZX6R, it's just, it has plenty of power and it's usable. And, you know, you can ride it really fast, but you can also enjoy it in other ways. So
It just makes really loud screaming noises that I can't resist, to be very honest with you.
that's kind of the full circle that I've noticed a lot of other riders are that way too. They start off
Yeah.
small, they end up getting to the pinnacle, and then they end up coming back down. And when they come back down, they end up happiest right there, because it's, I don't know, you reminisce about the bikes you used to have, and the new 100 horsepower bikes now have all the fancy tech features, and like my SMT has cruise control and has everything that I could want on it. So it's
Well, we're
pretty
lucky.
perfect.
We're lucky in this day and age that now a lot of the middleweight bikes are starting to come with all the premium features that we want. That you had to buy the big, bad, top of the range, 1,000 cc, 200 horsepower bike to get the fancy features that you wanted. To get adjustable traction control, to get cruise control, things like that. You had to buy the fancy bike. Now you can get them in the medium weights, around that 100, 120 horsepower range. And they work well. They work great. They're really kind of, like you said, right in the middle of usability and power and capability. I've noticed the same thing too, that people kind of go up. It's kind of like a curve. You go up in power and price, and then you kind of start to come back down a little bit as you get older.
It's like you get more practical, more reasonable as you get older.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I bought the BMW, because it had cruise control. And I couldn't buy that on any 600 platform bike at the time, or else I probably would have. I wanted the feature set and the creature comforts, and they didn't offer that with anything smaller.
Like, I remember a conversation Travis and I had at work many years ago, where we had we had touched on that topic of man, I wish there was a middleweight that came with premium features. And it was kind of before the middleweights were offering that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that was the rise of the bigger bikes. With the premium features were just being developed. Cruise control was brand new. That was a brand new feature at the time, and they're putting it only on the big fancy bikes because it's the technology trickles down.
And I get that. Like, you're going to have your flagship bike as a manufacturer, and different
Yep.
manufacturers obviously have different flagships, but you have your flagship bike, and it's always your big, bad, whatever. And then it's got all the fancy features, all your new features that you're inventing or coming up with. But then after years of time goes on, you end up putting some of those features onto your, middleweights, and then eventually your lightweight stuff. It ends up getting some of that tech features. I mean, heck, now pretty much every 300 class, 400 class engine size bike has a TFT dash.
Yep.
And
The TFT dashes.
hell, the
cruise-
390s have cruise control available.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Triumph small ones. I don't know if the 400s can get cruise,
But
or
but the
not.
660 can.
The 660s have gotten cruise now. Definitely have traction control and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that's kind of safety oriented. They definitely put all of that on those bikes,
And-
even though 400 class probably really doesn't need it.
Because of all that, because the middleweights have stepped up, and I mean, hell, even the lightweights have stepped up. The heavyweights, so it's going to be like your 1,000cc plus classes.
The heavies.
They've been not selling well.
Yeah, they've kind of tapered off.
They've suffered in sales, and that's why you've seen a lot of these companies dropping. Like in Europe, they dropped the R1, and that was like a big thing.
Well, that was more regulatory.
It was, but the thing was,
It didn't sell great to begin with. So
it didn't sell,
Valid.
and they didn't have a reason to update the emissions to make it pass emissions, because they could have, but it wasn't worth the juice wasn't worth the squeeze because they weren't selling any of them. I think in
The juice is always worth the squeeze, to be clear.
in the UK, I watched 44 Teeth the other day, and they were talking about statistics of how many, I think it was R1s, how many R1s had sold the last year that they were available, and it was like 63 in all of UK.
Well, yeah, because they all bought BMW S1000s.
No, they all bought BMW 1300 GSs. That's the most popular selling bike in the UK. That's above 500 cc's.
Well, because it always rains there.
And
It does.
so like stuff like that just isn't selling anymore. Even the big GSs aren't selling in the numbers they once were.
Well, the thing,
Because people are buying middleweights.
the justification I can see for it is kind of the curve of the people want to go to the big bike and then they kind of come back down. But also, I think a lot of people bought the big bike because they wanted those features and there was no choice. Had there been a middleweight bike that was cheaper and afforded all those features, they would have bought that bike. That's what I landed on. I put my money where my mouth is, and I've got a Street Triple 765 RS.
How many millions of bolivars did you pay for that?
That would have been a lot.
Several million. Maybe even $1 billion.
Oh, it was definitely over $1 billion for sure. 15 grand times whatever the
Conversion rate is.
conversion for
We have the
bolivars is.
mathematics department working on it.
There was probably not enough currency in circulation for that price.
For the whole country, correct?
The GDP of the company
Three
country was probably
wheelbarrows
less.
worth.
So yeah, that's basically rounds out, like, at least in my experience, and then from what I've seen in others, kind of like what happens to your taste in motorcycling as you develop an age in it.
You go over the hump, and then you just end back up with a scooter.
You end up where you started. It's pretty
Well, no,
hilarious.
you don't
You
end
kinda-
up where
you
you
kinda
started.
do.
You end up with a scooter.
You end up with a scooter. That's the final
That's
destination.
it. Play the music.
Well, I do want to say that of our riding group, I believe we were the firsts to take the plunge into the dad bikes. And
Yeah,
now
100%. Well,
everybody's into the dad bikes, and they're
kind
all
of. Technically, Cheeseman has always had dad bikes. Technically,
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean, he's old as shit. He's 68.
He's not that old.
68 or 69.
You guys,
That's pretty old, dude.
before I met this man, I envisioned some crusty old dude.
Oh yeah,
He is not old.
he's almost 70.
My dad's 80.
70's pretty old for a motorcyclist, man.
So you're saying I'm not going to make it until I'm 70?
And he still moves for
He moves quite well.
he does really he's,
On and off the bike.
he's a rider,
He's
dude.
very functional.
But,
I envisioned some crusty old man.
But he still rips, man. But yeah, so he technically had a dad bike. But yes, we were the first of the rest of the crew, of the young guys, I should say. And what's funny is we're the youngest You're definitely like you
I'm
were
definitely
always
was
the
the
youngest on the
youngest.
Cheese Man trip,
Yep.
and you were showing up.
I still am, I guess,
For-
technically, until Nick comes.
Yeah, we gotta get Nick down on the Cheese Man trip.
No, I'm not invited.
Well, I think after this year you could be invited.
I don't know. I think I'm too slow.
The you know, we were definitely up there as the first to get into the dad bikes, and yeah, that was. Now it's funny to go down to the mountains and everybody's riding a dad bike.
They've all got dad
every
bikes.
last one.
Every
of them.
one of them.
So
I'm like the only one that was on a naked bike there.
That is a dad bike, to be clear.
whatever, team.
What can I say? I'm gonna die on this hill.
You're part of that bike life.
Well, not that bike life. Maybe a different bike life without the Y.
Out there on them super sports.
Yeah, play the music. There better be a Nick crunching on chips short of all the chips that I ate doing that.